Hey everybody, it's Rebecca, and as you can see, spring has sprung. The trees are blooming and the birds are singing out on my backyard. We've had a couple of pretty active weeks with our yoga practice, so I thought today we'd slow it down a little and do a little love for the shoulders and the upper back. I won't be using any props for this practice, but you're welcome to bring in anything that you like. So take a moment, gather what you need, and I'll see you on the mat.
Seated comfortably on the mat. You can choose your favorite position here if you like. I'm going to sit in Sukhasana. And just allow yourself to flutter your eyes closed or lower your gaze, maybe if you prefer to have them open a little. And just begin to take some slower, deeper, more intentional breaths. Allowing your shoulders to just begin to relax away from your ears. Allowing your teeth to part and your jaw to relax. Allowing your belly to fill with air, maybe bringing the air down deeper into your lungs and into your belly than you have allowed yourself to do all day. And then when you're ready, just allow yourself to flutter your eyes open. Just going to pay a little bit of attention to the shoulders and the upper back today. So we'll start by just allowing the hands to come out next to us on the mat, palms facing up. And we're going to scoop the air up and overhead like we're holding a big beach ball in between the hands overhead. And if you like, you can allow your gaze to follow if that works for your neck. And then we'll allow the palms to touch and exhale as we bring the hands to heart center, bringing the gaze down with them. Doing this a couple of times, inhaling, scooping the air up, holding that beach ball. Exhale, bringing the hands to heart center. Maybe beginning to bring in that breath. We can hear that ujjayi breath. Exhaling, making that little sound in the back of the throat like you're fogging up a mirror. A couple more nice breaths here. Inhaling, arms up overhead, following the gaze if you like. Really reaching those fingertips up. Palms come to meet. Exhaling down through heart center. And one more here. Inhaling, arms up overhead. Exhale, hands come down to heart center. Taking a moment to pause here. And then as we're inhaling, we're going to press the palms into each other and bring them around behind the head. And those elbows are going to point up towards the ceiling or the sky, pulling the belly button in towards the spine. And then on your next inhale, pointing those fingers up towards the ceiling or the sky. And then exhaling, bringing the arms down halfway. Palms are facing forward here. Once you've made your way here, take a nice big inhale, stretch those arms back if you like. And then exhale, reaching those arms around, reaching for the shoulder blades and the back. Maybe giving yourself a little hug here from side to side. And then lifting the elbows gently, again, pulling that belly button in. And then on your next inhale, Just allow yourself to bend the elbows and bring the backs of the hands to touch each other. So you see, we've made it here into a variation of eagle pose. And you can keep it right here with the backs of the hands touching if you like, or you can bring the fingers of the lower hand into the palm, bringing this into an eagle shape. From here, we're going to inhale, allowing the belly to soften forward as we take a slight little back bend here. So think like cow pose here. And then as we're exhaling, we'll allow those elbows to count, pulling the belly button into the spine and allowing the upper back to round. So think cat pose here. So inhaling, belly softens, little back bend, elbows rise. Exhale, pulling the belly button back and up, rounding through the shoulders. Inhale. Little back bend, raising the elbows. Exhale. Coming into our cat-like pose. And then we'll just inhale back to neutral, opening those arms out again, taking a nice big inhale here, and then crossing the arms in the other direction. So bring the opposite arm over top this time. Reaching back for those shoulder blades, giving yourself that little hug, and then raising the elbows. And once again, bending the arms, bringing the backs of the hands together and taking the lower fingers into the palm if you like. Inhaling, raising the elbows, little back bend. Exhale, our cat-like pose. Inhale, elbows rise. Exhale, elbows sink down, rounding through the upper back. Inhale, elbows rise. Exhale, sinking those elbows down, rounding through the upper back. Inhale, back to neutral. Allow the arms to unwind, coming open wide. And then exhale, fingertips come down to the mat. So we're going to move now into a tabletop position. Just take a moment to get yourself there. And then we'll check in with the fingers here, nice and wide, stacking the joints. And then just take yourself through a few gentle cat-cows. Inhaling, filling the belly, letting that tailbone come up towards the ceiling. Exhale, rounding under. And let this movement be guided by the breath and the tailbone. So begin with breathing, then move the tailbone and allow the rest of the body to follow. Or maybe come through one more of these, and then we'll meet in a neutral spine. Coming back through tabletop. And let's walk those hands, a couple of handprints out in front. We'll roll the toes under and keeping the knees nice and bent, just gently lift those hips up towards the ceiling. Really pressing out of the mat here, and maybe beginning a little pedaling with the feet. And feel free to make any natural movement that feels good here. So the upper body might even go side to side slightly. Up to you. And then we'll bring this to stillness, allowing the heels to sound towards the mat just as much as they wish to. And then taking the gaze forward, we'll take some baby steps up to the top of the mat. Inhaling up halfway. And then exhale, coming into a forward fold, knees nice and bent here.
Just allow the head to dangle. Maybe you take the hands to the elbows coming into a ragdoll, or maybe you keep the fingers on the floor. And then we'll bring one hand over each bent knee here and keeping that spine nice and straight. We'll inhale all the way up. Arms come up overhead. Exhale, hands come down to heart center. So you can stay at the top of your mat here if you like. I'm going to step to the middle so you can see me. So starting here with the hands at heart center. We're going to inhale, sending those fingertips up towards the ceiling, allowing the gaze to follow if you like. Exhale, bringing the arms down halfway, just as we did before. Inhaling here, opening the chest, allowing the shoulders to come back. And then exhaling, we'll bring the left arm across the body, using the right arm to stretch that left shoulder and dropping that left shoulder down and away from the ear. Bringing a little springiness into the knees here and remembering always to support that spine with nice, strong belly muscles. And then if you like, on your next exhale, you can take your gaze over that left shoulder, bringing a little stretch into the right side of the neck. And then inhale back to center and exhale, shifting the gaze over the right shoulder this time. And as we're inhaling the head back to center, we'll open the arms out. And exhale, this time bringing the right arm across, using the left. Give us that stretch, sinking the right shoulder away from the ear. Exhaling, looking over the right shoulder. Inhale back to center. Exhale, looking over the left shoulder. Inhale back to center, opening the arms up, and exhale, allowing the hands to come down to the sides. And then we'll inhale, arms overhead again, following with the gaze if you like. And exhaling will allow the fingers to swim around behind and interlace in whichever way feels natural and comfortable here. And we're going to press the fingers, the knuckles rather, down and away, moving the palms towards each other. And maybe your palms don't touch here, but that's fine. Just moving them towards each other, opening the chest. And we'll take a little bend in the knees here. And you're welcome to keep this right here. Or if you like, you can begin to fold forward over the thighs. Maybe allowing those knuckles to come up towards the ceiling. Really extending the knuckles up towards the ceiling or the sky here. Bending the knees just as much as you need to in order for that belly to rest on the thighs. Take a deep breath here. Exhale, allow the hands to unbind and then coming to stand with a flat back. Reaching up overhead, nice deep breath. And then exhaling, swimming those hands around behind again, this time interlacing them in whichever way feels a little unusual for you. And the knuckles down and away, moving the palms towards each other. And then choosing for this side if you're going to stay right here, or if you would like to fold forward with your next exhale. Allowing those knuckles to reach up towards the ceiling or the sky, knees nice and bent, belly resting on the thighs. One more nice inhale here. And then as we're exhaling, allowing the hands to gently drop and unwind, bringing the fingers down to the mat. And we're going to plant the hands in the mat here and take a nice big step back, coming into either a plank or a half plank, your choice here. And from here, if you'd like to come into a chaturanga, you may, or you can lower the knees to the ground and just gently lower yourself down to the belly. So hands here are right next to the side of the chest. And we're going to take a wide kind of a stance with the arms here. So bringing the arms out to the side and tenting the fingers so that we've just got the fingertips on the floor here. And then from here, we're going to inhale up to cobra. So when we come into baby cobra, we really want to be using those back muscles. And this gets those hands out of the way so we can really use those back muscles. Allow yourself to relax back down to the mat. And now maybe lengthening out through the legs just slightly here, really bringing the tops of the feet in contact with the mat. Really pressing those feet into the mat here. And then once again, inhaling up to our baby cobra, taking that gaze just a couple of inches in front of your mat. We'll inhale here, and as we're exhaling, just drop that left shoulder towards the mat, taking the gaze over the right shoulder. Inhaling back to center, left shoulder raises. And then exhale, drop the right shoulder towards the mat, looking over the left shoulder. Inhale back to center. And then exhale, releasing back down to the mat, bringing the hands next to the chest, rolling the toes under, and pressing up through plank or half plank, holding it here for just a moment, nice and strong, really pressing away from the mat, bringing that heart up through the back of the shoulder blades, and then exhale, coming into downward facing dog. Couple of deep breaths here. And then on our next inhale, we'll shift back to plank or half plank. And then allowing the knees to come out to the outside edges of the mat and the big toes to touch. We'll exhale into child's pose. Coming through a flow here now, we'll inhale up to plank or half plank if you like. And then exhale back to child's pose. Inhaling back up to plank or half plank. And then if you prefer, you can also keep the knees close together here. So if you like to try that, you can bring the knees close, exhaling back into child's pose with the knees close together. Inhaling up to plank or half plank. And one last exhaling back to child's pose. Inhaling back up to plank or half plank this time. And then allowing the belly to come down to the mat. We're going to take the elbows and put them where the hands were. So now the hands are, forearms are on the floor, hands are coming next to each other. And really reaching back through the toes here, engaging the tops of the feet into the floor. We're going to lay the fingers down and pull back against them just a little as we allow ourselves to come into Sphinx pose. So imagine in the center of the chest, coming forward here in between the upper arms, Sphinx pose. And now allow that to relax and release. And bring the palms of the hands together, interlacing the fingers here. And we're going to roll the toes under. Your choice here, you can either come up into a half plank, making sure that those elbows are right under the shoulders. Or if you like, you can come up on those toes, coming into a forearm plank. Holding it here for 2 or 3 breaths, really pressing away from the mat with the elbows, bringing some strength into the shoulders, and then allowing the knees and then the belly to relax back down to the floor. If you like, you can take one hand over the other and allow the forehead to rest on the hands here for a moment. Nice big deep breath. And one more like that. Good. Inhaling to come up slightly, we'll bring those elbows right underneath the shoulders again. Your choice here, you can come into more of a Sphinx pose with the hands, or again, you can interlace the fingers. And we'll roll up under the toes, coming up into that half plank or full forearm plank. Take a nice big deep breath here. And then on our next exhale, we'll begin to send those hips up towards the ceiling, walking the toes forward slightly, coming into a downward facing dog shape here. So this is bringing us into our dolphin pose. Couple of deep breaths. Allowing those knees to be bent if you like, really rotating the tailbone up towards the ceiling and focusing on the sensation in the back of the legs rather than on how close the heels are towards the floor. And then when you're ready, allowing the knees to come down to the mat, either wide or close together. And shifting the hips back, coming into child's pose. We'll use our next in-breath to move us up out of child's pose and come back into our tabletop pose. And then from tabletop, once again, we're going to allow the toes to come out long. You can either bring the knees to the floor or come into your full plank, pulling that belly button in towards the spine. And then when you're ready, either coming through your chaturanga or dropping the knees to the mat and slowly lowering down, elbows holding in tight to the body. We'll bring those hands out wide again to the tinted fingers, pressing the tops of the feet into the floor, and then using those long, strong back muscles as we inhale up into baby cobra. Exhale to release. And then as you inhale, inhale back up, baby cobra. And exhale to release. Hands come back next to the chest, coming up into plank or half plank. And then dropping the knees to the mat. We'll bring those knees back underneath the hip points, making sure that those wrists are stacked right under the shoulders. And we're going to come into a gate pose, followed by thread the needle. So if you'd like to watch for a moment, I'll show you what that's going to look like. We're going to allow the left foot to come out like a kickstand as we inhale, the right arm open and up, coming into our gate pose. So we'll take a big deep breath here. And then as we're exhaling, all in one movement, we're going to take a very slow exhale as we allow the knee to come back down towards the mat, the left leg to come back in from the kickstand and come all the way down into our thread the needle pose. So let's try that together now. Starting from our tabletop, left leg comes out like a kickstand, right leg extends out long, inhaling all the way up to the top. Exhaling very slowly. Bringing the knees back under the hips, all the way down into our thread the needle. Lots of variations of thread the needle to choose from. So you might like to extend the arm out long, or maybe even take the top arm around behind the back for a bind. It's whatever works for you here. And then wherever you have that left arm, bringing that back in front of the face, inhaling to press up from the mat, coming back into our tabletop, and now taking this to the other side. So we're going to use that right leg like a kickstand. Inhaling, left arm up, reaching for the ceiling. And then big, slow, deep breath, diving back down, taking that left hand underneath the right, coming back into our thread the needle on this side. And maybe you find the same variation on this side as the other, or maybe things are a little different on this side and you choose something a little different. And then from wherever you are, drawing that right hand back in front of the face, pressing up out of the mat, coming back into tabletop, and then walking the hands, a couple of hand prints out in front, coming back to downward facing dog. Maybe pedaling it out one last time. And then we'll allow the knees to come back down to the mat. I'm going to take the legs out of the way and come back towards the back of the mat. And come on down to the back. Bring the knees into the chest. Maybe rock a little from side to side. And then we're going to allow the legs to extend out long. Inhaling the arms up overhead, palms facing towards each other. And from here, we'll allow the heels to walk over to the bottom left side of the mat, and then allow the shoulders to walk to the top left edge. And lots of options here. You can interlace the fingers, leaving the pointer fingers out long, or grasp the right wrist and the left hand, coming into this crescent shape, our banana pose, bananasana. And if you like to cross the right leg over the left. And then once you're here, just begin to lengthen and deepen the breath again. Imagining, if you can, bringing the breath in through the right nostril and filling the right lung. Imagine the entire lung filling and expanding. One of the advantages of yoga is stretching and bringing elasticity to the lung tissue. So important as we move through life. And then allow that to release, releasing whatever binds you have, walking the heels in towards the center of the mat and then the shoulders, and then walking the heels over towards the other corner of the mat and allowing the shoulders to follow, choosing those pointer fingers if you like, or grasping the wrist, maybe crossing the left ankle over the right. And then again, visualizing drawing the air in through the left nostril and all the way into the left lung. And taking one last long, deep breath into that left lung. And then when you're ready, releasing your binds, walking the heels and the shoulders back to the center of the mat. And very slowly and carefully peeling the knees up, bringing them back into the chest. Maybe you roll around here on the lower back for a moment. Or perhaps on your next exhale, you allow the nose to rise up towards the knees, coming into hedgehog pose. And then whenever you're ready, let it all go. Heels come out to the corners of the mat. Arms come out wide wherever they're comfortable. Coming into Shavasana. If you have a blanket handy, you'd like to cover yourself up or whatever you need to do here to just make yourself just a little more comfortable, whatever that means for you. And just allow yourself to rest here. Resting here for a moment of peace. Our times of rest and our times of silence, just as important as our times of activity and our times of doing. So important to bring both of these elements into our yoga. Yoga meaning to yoke or to bring together the opposites, heat and cool, doing and non-doing, activity and peace. If you have a little extra time, I invite you to stay in your Shavasana for as long as you like. And if you need to end your practice now, you can press back up to a seated position when you're ready. Allow yourself to remain here with your eyes closed or your gaze lowered for a moment. May your yoga help you find your course through the chaos of the world. Thank you for joining me for this practice, and may your yoga follow you off the mat.